Hi, everyone. I want you to meet Neva Williamson. Neva's had been a coaching student of mine and graduated about a year ago, and is a woman who has been very successful now on her own and no longer needs my help. The whole point of a good real estate mentoring program is to help you develop yourself so that you spread your wings and fly on your own and leave the nest. And it takes someone to help you train and get to that point and understand the twists and the turns. But at a certain point, you ought to be able to go off on your own and take what you learn and take what I taught you and continue forward with it. And Neva is a shining example of that, particularly with a deal she just closed in the last week. And I want to introduce her to everyone and have her tell you a little bit more about that. So, Neva, thanks for being here. Introduce yourself a little bit more. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I want to talk about your most recent deal.
Okay. My name is Neva Williamson, and what can I say about myself? I guess my background is I was doing a lot of buy and hold, and then I kind of got with Tom because I really wanted to get into wholesaling and rehabbing. So I did the program about a year ago and had a baby, so I kind of slowed things down with that, and now I'm back marketing, working on my business again.
Excellent. And tell us, you just had a major success, and it was a wholesale deal. Tell us a little bit about it.
It was a wholesale deal. It was in Centerville, Virginia, and my wholesale fee was $40,000. It was a single family. The seller was from out of town. Owned the property. To be clear, the property was empty. No one was living there. He was a really great guy to work with. I actually had made him an offer a year ago, almost a year to the date. I had made him an offer for more money, and he said no at the time. And then, well, actually a year ago, someone was living in the property. So I think that kind of affected things because it was a family friend. He wasn't collecting rent or anything. He was kind of doing someone favor. And now the house is empty. I guess now that the person's done.
This deal is a result of follow-up from a lead that was a year old.
Yeah, it was a year old. Actually, what happened, I started using a monthly newsletter to the people that I made an offer to, and they said no. And that's what he responded to. I sent the newsletter out, and then he responded back and said, hey, how much will you offer me now? Can you go out to the property and make me an offer? So that's how we started.
So, and a convenient way for you to keep in touch with leads that didn't go anywhere, they didn't amount to anything, is you decide that you hit them all with a newsletter. And what do you put in the newsletter?
I do, because they're all landlords, so I do like rental tips or something, or landlord tips. Just something, some type of way to save money or something on their property. Like I just sent one a few days ago, so I talked about like how to save costs around the house for spring or spring cleaning and things like that. So just type of topics. And then I'll have you there, hey, I'm just interested in purchasing your property, just to,
perfect. It's not too salesy. You're giving a service,
right.
But reminding people that you're there and can be, are available to help them.
Right.
The term for that is TOMA, T-O-M-A, top of mind awareness. You're reaching out to them now on a regular basis, and you're keeping in mind. So when they think about selling, or when something happens now in their life, one of the first people they're going to think about is you, because you're at the top of their mind, because every month consistently they've been getting something. Sometimes they've read it, honestly, sometimes they haven't, but either way, it's something they look at and go, that's valuable, that's nice. She clearly knows what she's talking about. I'll reach out to her and see what she has to say. So this guy got back to you and you made $40,000 off of it.
Yes.
Excellent. And so he was out of town, out of state owner, property's vacant, and who did you wind up selling it to? Is it someone who's going to fix and flip it, or did you sell it to another landlord?
Yeah, he's going to fix it Actually, he said that he liked the property a lot, so he's thinking of actually moving into the property because he can actually do the work himself. So I'm not sure, which one he's going to decide to do, but he's definitely makes it like that.
Good. And your newsletter also, this is an important point, you're sending it out via email, correct?
Email.
So your cost is?
Zero.
Zero. We like that kind of cost. That's good. Zero cost is very good. Now, what was tell me, Neva, the full length of time it took? Obviously, there was a year, you found the guy a year ago. You made him an offer. He said no. He comes back to you after a year and says, look, I'm ready to do business. And you actually got it for less than you offered a year earlier. From the point that he first recontacted you to settlement day, about how long did that take?
It was pretty long because he wanted to come out long, for us. And then we had a signed contract in late February, I believe, and we closed April 6th.
Okay.
But he wanted to come out and take his things out the property. So that's why we waited, because he had to, he was all the way in California. So we waited for him to come back. So, long for us, definitely.
Right. Well, that's very good. But still, 6 to 8 weeks, $40,000. That's an annual salary for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Even if it was long, it's not. It's not that long. It's not that bad. That's excellent. Now, how does that feel? You just had a baby. You're just on maternity leave. How does it feel to make a year's pay in one deal in 6 weeks?
I think it's so funny because it happens, and I'm kind of like, did I just make $40,000? Because you have that month that you're waiting to settle, but I probably really put, including driving to the house to look at the house, maybe 4 hours? So it just feels like kind of crazy, like, wow, did I really just make $40,000 doing that? So, of course, now I'm like, I have to follow up.
The key is in the follow-up. The key is definitely in the follow-up.
Last time I have to follow up.
So you're saying you spent a whopping, the total time invested in this deal is 4 hours?
Yeah, I really didn't spend that much time because when he emailed me back, he said, I'm interested again, and I kind of said, because actually the first email he sent me back was he had all these recently sold properties in the neighborhood. And he was saying, how much, can you offer me more? And I was like, oh, no, I can't offer more. And when I checked the ice sheet, I said, my number was lower this time. And so I thought he was going to say, oh, come on, you giving me a lower offer? And he said, well, because last time he wouldn't let me in the house. So this time he said, well, can you go to the house? So usually, we don't go to the property until we have the signed contract. But I said, well, last time he wouldn't let me in. At least, he's a little further along because he's saying, hey, can you go out to the house? Whereas last time I actually go to the house and he was like, no, no, no. So I said, come on, let's go to the house. So we went to the house, we checked it out, we did the repair estimate, and I came back and I did the contract, and I told him, this is my contract, I need it back. This is what I can offer you, I need the contract back in 5 days. And I sent it to him, and he came back. Well, my first offer was $225. And then he came back and said, if I could offer $235. And so I said, well, I can offer $235 if you give me the contract back in 3 days. And then we were going back and forth because he wanted me to take out the clause in the contract that says, due to this inspection or fine, make me walk away.
Right.
Saying that he wanted the contract to be completely, there was no way that we could walk away.
No way out.
So I was, kind of saying, hey, I can't take these claws out because if something happens, I mean, we could have an earthquake.
Yeah.
I mean, because we're purchasing it as it is, but not as, just any condition at all. I said, something could happen, we could find something else. So finally, he said, okay, you need the clause in there to protect yourself.
Mhm.
And he denied it.
So he wanted, because I remember you had emailed me at that point and asked for help in the negotiation, and that was the big thing. And my thing was, look, don't let a seller edit out the clauses that are designed to protect you in case something happens, and try to explain to him. And basically it sounds like he just said, all right, I mean, he got to the point where he understood, all right, look, it's not like you were asking for something absurd. It's just things have to be acceptable to your inspection. You're still going to go ahead with it because it's a good deal. But you're right.
We're doing everything, and I'm doing our due diligence so that, we don't walk away. But I think that was the thing he was thinking, I don't want them to walk away.
Yes.
So, which was, kind of, to me, kind of crazy because I'm thinking, like
I wouldn't walk away.
for us to walk away.
That's the thing is, but it's, what you're thinking, the business a lot more. Sellers don't. They don't do this as often. They're not as used to it, and they have their concerns. And your number one goal, your number one mission at the beginning of the negotiation is to figure out what is it that the seller wants. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? How are they responding to things? That way you can address it properly. And because once you satisfy their concerns, then they're willing to play ball. They sign the contract, they get it back to you, and you start to go through the process. So that works out well. Now, did you have any other drama after that? Was it a smooth close? I mean, he wanted to come out, so there was a little of a delay waiting for him to arrange a trip. He came out from where?
California.
Okay, all right, so all the way across the country he came, so that's fine. A little delay. And but any other drama with title issues or crazy things on settlement? There's usually something.
We didn't have anything crazy actually. I think just me being anxious to close, I just kept thinking, like, is this really going to be this easy? Is he going to call me? You just keep thinking, like, this is too easy. But we really didn't have any drama with him. I mean, he was a great guy. The only reason he pushed it out was he was actually closing on another property. And so he said, it was just too much, to try to cram in. And that was really the most, I think, because he actually told me afterwards that he had 2 other offers. And he said one guy really turned him off because the guy kept pressuring him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that helped me because I was kind of like, I'll close when you want to close. I'm kind of, even though I wanted to close yesterday, it's easier for you. We'll close when you're ready. So, that helped him a lot because he was so busy with some other business.
So okay, because I get the question a lot. You would ask me previously. I got a lot of my mentoring students say, "Gosh, Tom, what about all the competition out there?" And so I think there's a couple points here. One, you followed up a year later, and what competition is there? I mean, how many people are following up, much less following up a year later, is point number one. Point number two, this guy talked to other people, and he was turned off by them and their approach. So there was still multiple opportunities for you to set yourself apart from the crowd and be better than them.
Right, because after he said that, I said, well, why did you choose me? And that's when he went into, he said one guy was, constantly calling him, like, you need to close. And he said the other guy was kind of all over the place. And he said, I just was like, Neva's, she hung in there with me. And he said, I just felt, I had to give it to you.
Yeah.
So, because, I asked him, I was like, why did you, because I was thinking, what made me different, or, that's what he said, you stayed with me. And I guess at that point, too, people feel that, they know you. He's probably gotten at least 2 postcards from me. He's gotten several emails from me.
Mm-hmm.
I have my picture in there, and people just feel, like, they know you from the picture. So I think, all of that together.
When people get to know you, they naturally are going to trust you more. They feel they have a relationship, even if it's a one-way relationship. You didn't know him at first, but he knew you from your newsletter, from your marketing, from your photo, and that's important. I mean, if you think about people watch stories on TV, or you have your favorite TV anchorman on a news program, you feel like you know them. You're looking at them. You're looking at their face. You're hearing their voice. You're talking. There's almost like rapport is being built without you actually really knowing them, and that's the same thing that's happened here. You've used those effects very much to your benefit. Now, I want to circle back and the 4 hours. When you sum total up the amount of time you spent on this deal, from putting it together, negotiating, the phone calls, inspection of the property, marketing it to buyers. You're thinking it took about 4 hours to make $40,000. So you now realize your rate is you make 10 grand an hour.
I can live with that.
I think so. I'm proud of you. You should. That's a great number to live with. 10 grand an hour is very smart. But so 4 hours. What did that 4 hours consist of, Neva?
Me writing up the contract, and I already have like a package together that I send.
Mm-hmm.
So I already have that saved on my computer. The only thing I have to do is go in, change the property address and change the owner's name.
Mm-hmm.
And I send that off, and then I get that contract back, and then I already have the email set up, so it's just to insert the pictures that I took of the property and send it to the buyers. And then when the buyers call me back, just taking their phone calls, asking for proof of funds, and telling them to meet me at the property. The property is about 20 minutes from my house. Drive to the property and, give the buyers, I was probably there about an hour waiting for everyone. Had about 6 buyers come and look through. And then after that, you just go home and make my decision who I would pick to give the deal to.
Right. So it's the same process we do with you and your deals you did when we were working together in the program, and you continue to just keep that as a system and very systematically execute the system.
Yes.
It's nice that way, isn't it? Because you had emailed me saying, "Hey, this works. Keep it up. It's so nice. It's just nice to it works. Keep doing it." And I think people want it to be complicated. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You can just spend 4 hours. When you think of what a work week is, again, if we're saying $40,000 is a salary, is an annual salary for a lot of people, and an annual in 1 year, the annual number of hours you spend in a job there's 2,080 hours. I think most people get maybe 80 hours off. So you're working 2,000 hours for 40 grand, maybe more, maybe less. You did it in 4 hours. I mean, that is, how many times a year do you need to do that to really supplement your living, supplement your lifestyle, take care of your baby daughter? Your husband's happy, right?
Oh, yeah. He's like, oh, he wants to start coming to the real estate investment meeting.
He came by that one time, yeah. That one property we were working on, which didn't work out. He came by, I gave you a lockbox and put on, and talk.
Yeah, he always comes with me to the properties. Yeah, he always comes with me. He's the one that takes the pictures, and he just comes because he's kind of like, my wife is out in these houses with who knows who, so he always comes with me to the property.
That's very smart. I tell my female students, if you don't have someone to go with you at those times, for goodness sakes, if you're going to go inspect a property, lock the door behind you, because you don't know who might have marked you walking in, and you're concentrating on taking a picture or writing notes on your clipboard and the inspection worksheet. And then you don't hear somebody. Just lock the door behind you, right? If you're alone, or schedule it. Have a man there with you. And that's not. It's just honestly, that's the way the world is. It's not. Right. You're better safe than sorry. So that's your husband's smart for doing that, and it works out well. But it makes it a team business too. And then I'm sure you debrief afterwards. You can talk about who said what and what buyer was strong for what reasons. It gives you a sounding board to go through the information with.
And I guess this is the drama, at least on my side, the drama, because that's one thing that actually my husband gave me feedback, because after I accepted the $40,000, somebody offered me $10,000 more.
Aha.
I had already accepted, and I said, oh, why didn't they say something before? And my husband said, well, I wouldn't do that. He said, if I came in and I knew I would offer more, I wouldn't say anything. I would wait, until you came and said, hey, someone offered me, 40,000, and see. And then I would say, well, I'll take 50,000.
Yeah.
But, I looked at all the offers at once and made a decision.
Okay.
So I didn't want to go back, on my word and say, I said, it was just a $10,000 lesson that next time, I'll say, well, let me give 15 minutes to think about it, and then, I can go to the other buyers and say, someone's offering me 40,000, will you match it, or, will you go higher, and then, make a final decision.
Then you tell people it's competitive. Because what you did, bringing people through at the same time is very good. And I know we had done that on the condo you did last year. We bring everyone through at the same time. It's more efficient. It gives you a chance to meet everyone at once, but it also creates that competition because people see that there's other buyers there. There's other potential people, and they may not have the deal. But definitely one step further then is when you collect all the offers, if there's nothing wrong with reaching out to the others and say, hey, folks, I got a lot of offers. This property is very popular. This is a competitive situation. Would you like to adjust your bid up? And they will. And then you get to the point.
I was surprised. One of the buyers said, oh, well, I feel like I didn't have a chance. So, I felt, I said, oh, they would have much preferred me to come back and give them the option to go by instead of assuming, this is his match. So, I felt like, oh, okay, lesson learned next time. I want everyone to feel they had a chance.
Sure. Cycle through, because there's nothing, because you are doing everyone a favor and you're doing yourself a favor because you won't leave any money on the table. You'll circle back through everyone and say, I have higher offers. Would you like to? And some people will come back with a higher offer. Some will come back with a higher offer plus an escalation clause, so you know what they max out at. You'll get and that's it. Some people forget about it because they think, oh, the economy's awful right now. It's horrible. Nobody makes any money. You've heard that before. You know it not to be true, because you just made $40,000 on a simple flip, and you're saying there was even more there, and people have it. And so when you qualify your buyers, they have it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember last year. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I learned that lesson.
Yeah. I mean, last year it was the same thing. When we asked for proof of funds from the buyers, there was a certain degree of, wow, people have that much money in the bank? But they do. If they're professional rehabbers and they're doing this on a regular basis, the money starts to pile up, or they have access to it in retirement accounts and whatnot. There's a lot of money out there, folks, and people just don't. Yeah, they don't. You can't fall prey to all the nonsense you hear in the news,
right?
Because there's a lot happening out there, and that's it. I mean, if you told a couple of years ago, someone told you, look, Neva, 4 hours, flip a property, it'll take you 6 weeks, you'll make 40 grand. You might have said, you're crazy.
Exactly.
I mean, right? I mean, family, friends, the coworkers, people think, oh, there's no way. That stuff doesn't work. That's late night TV infomercial nonsense. It doesn't work.
Right. Late night TV nonsense.
Yeah. Well, but I like this late night TV nonsense.
Me too.
There's nothing wrong with it at all. What else are you thinking about the deal? I mean, again, that's a very healthy fee. That $40,000 is a great payday on this. That's all yours. You're not splitting it with anyone. You did this on your own. And tell me about that feeling of accomplishment, that feeling of pride, tell me that feeling of success.
Well, it felt really great because this was the first one that I did, completely, on my own. And so there were parts of it that I wanted to reach out, but I was like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do, kind of like, and then, when I got to that block of, okay, please take this clause out, I'm like, okay, I'm telling him everything that I can think of for him not to take it out. And, then I reached out, but then I got him to sign it. So I said, okay, great. So it really felt great. And it felt good to have such a good property that, someone can renovate and, instead of having this empty, house. No one wants an empty house, in their neighborhood. So it felt great to be a part of a project, you know. Even though I won't be the one doing the rehab, it just felt great to be able to be a part of a team,
Sure.
you know, that will accomplish all of that. So it was just amazing. It's like, you know, wholesaling is just, because like, you know, we've been doing buy and hold forever, and, you know, you can get a cash flow of $200, you know, a month, you know, it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, at this point, I'm like, you know, all landlords should wholesale because, I mean, it's, you know, it's just such a good way to make quick cash, you know, where sometimes, you know, my tenant, you know, they may need a new stove or something, you know, it doesn't completely wipe out all my cash flow. I mean, if I'm, you know, I mean, we cash flow on one property like $500 a month, so that's a lot when you're doing buy and hold, but it's not a lot if, you know, I have to get a new boiler.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
And how many years of that cash flow does it take before you make $40,000 in profit?
Right. So it's really, you know, to me at this point, it's really great to couple it with the wholesaling because, you know, it's like the best of both worlds to me. You know, you have the buy and hold, so you have the consistent cash, and then you have the wholesaling that can come in and just give you a quick, you know, few $1,000s. So it's like perfect to me.
Now, I want to expand on when you talked about that you want to have the confidence, do it on your own, and get through the different phases. Now, the system I taught you for doing this, the course material, the training you had last year, the contracts. I'm assuming you're using all of that to do this.
Okay.
Since you had been through it in the program, how did that impact your ability and confidence now to spread your wings and fly on your own?
Well, it's definitely had a huge impact because, one, a lot of the answers to questions that the sellers asked you were in there. I mean, you know, some of it is not that, you know, you need to know every single thing, but, you know, I can flip to the chapter really quickly. You know, if I didn't remember, you know, and get an answer. And that's the biggest thing because that held me back for so long, for so many years, because you keep waiting until you know everything. You know, and you say, when I know everything, I'll start. And I come to realize, you know, you're never going to really know everything, but if you just, like, push your head, you'll know what resource to reach out to get the answer when you need it. So, you know, you can always push your head and, you know, just go little by little, like, you know, every property I do, I'm going to learn something. Like, you know, we've been doing buy and hold forever, and last year we did our first eviction, and then we ended up doing 2 evictions last year. So it's like, you know, you just have to kind of, you know, don't wait until you say, oh, I can't do an eviction to buy a property. You just kind of have to, you know, the little, as soon as you learn something, like now I'll tell myself, as soon as I learn something, I need to actually do something with it instead of saying, well, let me read one more book. You know, because then you just end up reading 100 books. So it's like, it's good to like keep reading and learning and, you know, actually doing some action with what you learn, because otherwise, you know, it's just piling up in your head and you're just getting frustrated. You know, you feel like you're wasting your time and your money.
So the action taking, you know, putting it into action is what makes a difference.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that definitely makes a difference because now, you know, now that I'm doing it, I'm like, wow, why are other people doing this? Like, this is so easy in the world. Like, you know, gas is $4. We all need money. Why aren't we, you know, why aren't more people doing this? But I know that I used to be so scared. I'm like terrified. Like, how am I going to sign a contract? I have to find a buyer. And now I'm like, that's like the leap. I was so paranoid in the beginning, you know, when I first learned of wholesaling, because I was like, oh my goodness, you have to get the contract and then the buyer, you know, but now I'm like, this way, I wish I had enough properties for as many buyers. I mean, that's like the least, you know, that's like no problem at all to find a good buyer. You know, the hardest part is finding, you know, really good property,
That's a good deal.
you know, at a fair price.
What was it that helped you push through the fear? I mean, if you were once frozen in fear and thought you just had to keep reading more and more books, what was it that got you off the fence and got you moving into action?
I think it was when I finally got the second signed contract that I got. When I got that one, I don't know, I just really felt like, oh my goodness, this was so easy. I don't know. I just felt like that was the easiest way I had ever made money. That I just thought this is ridiculous.
We gotta do that again.
Yeah.
And that was some backstory. The first contract that you had when you were with me, it didn't work out, and it pretty much everything that could have been wrong with the property was wrong with this property, including being no driveway, and there were like 30 or 40 steps up to the front door, and it was right. It was an ugly duckling property at the tail end of an ugly street at a dead end, and nothing was right, and it didn't sell, and we had to cancel that contract, and I know that wasn't easy. And then your next one, you got that second contract, and it was good, and that one closed, and you made easy money, and you made a very good wholesale fee that time as well. And that's so it was going through the process made it real for you, and going through the process made you actualize it. Good.
Yeah, because when we left closing that day, I remember I just got in the car and I was just looking at that check like, this is crazy. Because I was like, I mean, we had went to close. I mean, I think we had closed by the time I had gotten the contract, and I think we closed like 2 or 3 weeks, the entire thing. It was just like, that was definitely like 4 hours of work. It was just.
So you've got, I mean, those two deals. That's 8 hours of work and $55,000, $57,000, something like that. I mean, that's a massive you're right, for a very little investment of time.
Oh yeah.
So how hard is it to juggle what you're doing with? You have a husband, you have a baby, you have a house, you've got a lot of things to do, just like a lot of people do. Is this a problem, juggling in a real estate business and wholesaling? Is that?
Well, I mean, I make sure I find the time. Because I know, now that I know the payoff, it's just like right now, my husband has the baby, and plus, the more that I'm successful, the more people are, offering some help. Oh, I'll take the baby, go ahead, I need to talk to Tom, you guys talk, so I have the help and the support, so.
Good.
And then you can take the time. I mean, I remember I used to take the train to work. I would read, your books, and other books. I would just read on the train, audio books. I mean, I don't watch a lot of TV, so, as soon as I, get home, if there's any little time, I'm doing something, for my business. So, I mean, you can find the time, believe me. I mean, I have a long commute, I have a pretty demanding job, and then, I have a newborn, so I really don't get much sleep with a newborn, but I still find time. Someone calls and says, and plus too, the more you do it, you can analyze the deals quicker. In the beginning, it would take me a longer time to do the comps and things like that. But, I remember when I started the program, people would do comps and, and say, oh, I can do comps in 5 minutes. And I'm thinking, what? It takes me an hour. But, yeah, now I do comps in 5 minutes. So I guess, just the more you do it, you'll just feel more confident. And it doesn't take as much time, but, when I wasn't as confident, then it would take more time because, I'm doing the same comp over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But, I guess you have to in the beginning, but in this case, too, plus I've learned to keep my notes. And so, when people call me, if they say no, I still keep everything. So when he called me, all I had to do was pull up my file on him, and I already had everything. So, I already knew what my first offer was, and I know, I'm not going to offer more than last time, and then I'm looking, should I lower it, so it's less work the second time instead of me starting all over and trying to remember what you said. And that's helpful, too, because sometimes, the first time they call, they tell me they have water damage, and the second time they're like, oh, no, I didn't want any water damage. And I'm like, wait a minute. I had a house have water damage.
It magically went away.
Yeah. So that helps a lot too. To make things faster is, I work that to definitely my notes, keep emails, keep phone numbers, keep everything. No matter, if they laugh. I had one guy call me and asked to be removed from my mailing list. And he just called me a few weeks ago, and I'm like, this is familiar. So I'm looking at my phone because I'm trying to find the information that I had on him previously so that I have it before I call him back. And looking through everything, I'm like, no, I probably didn't write it down. I didn't keep it in my database. Darn. So finally, I sent him my email, and I see that he sent me a message saying, remove me from your mailing list. And that's how I remember the name from.
You have document everything and keep a full record.
So you have to, so that's why I'm like, you have to document everything. Then I'm like, okay, I think that's why I remember the name.
It already has to be removed. Which happens. Now, let's talk about that for a minute, because a lot of people get upset when you start to do a little bit of marketing, and the response that comes back is you get the negative calls first. Remove me from your list. You're a spammer. You're killing trees. Don't send me mail. I'm going to call the Postal Inspection Service. How can you talk a little bit about? You've gotten those, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, and do you care?
I used to care, but now if they call and say please remove me, I'm usually happy because postage is so expensive that if they're truly not interested, I'm like, please call me and tell me to remove you, because then, I'm not wasting our postage. And I used to get so upset. Oh my goodness, I would be so upset when people would call with negative. I'll never forget the actual the postcards that I got, the deal in Arlington. I'll never forget. Probably the second call from that postage was this lady called in, and she's like, there's a misspelling on the postcards, take me up. And I just felt like, oh my goodness.
Neva, thanks. You've shared a lot of wonderful information with everybody, and that's I think it's inspiring. I think $40,000 is motivating. I think that that's what people want. That's what they're after. That can radically change your life. And you say it doesn't take long. It's not complicated. It's a simple, structured, and step-by-step system that I've given you that you are now running with on your own. And like I said in the introduction, you've graduated. You don't need me anymore. You don't need the program. You have the pieces of the puzzle. You have the right systems. You have the knowledge. You have the experience, and now you're able to go forward for the rest of your life and do these and make money. And I compliment you on that, because a lot of people just don't take any action, and they never make it anywhere. So thanks for being here, and we will talk to you again soon, and good luck on all your future deals. Keep following up and keep closing these massive deals, because you're doing great.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Neva.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.